I'd like to welcome everybody tonight. This is the first community conversation. I'm not sure what happened. We used to do them quarterly years ago, but this is a back and forth. So the rules of it are you must be an Enfield resident, your name and address for the record. Residents will be called one at a time up to the microphone. This is televised, so you are on TV. Residents may address any particular council member or all of us as a whole with your questions. One question at a time per round, so everybody has an opportunity to come up with a 3-minute max. So when you come up, you have 3 minutes, explain your question or what you want to talk about, and then we will start the back and forth. As many rounds as needed till 9 p.m. Town issues only, no personal attacks. We are all neighbors and we want the best for Enfield. If the speaker or audience becomes unruly, the council may adjourn the meeting at its discretion. So, with that, this is not an official council meeting. This is just a public back and forth. We had to post it because we might have had a quorum of council members. So first, we'll start off with Maureen. Actually, 1 second, hold on. I just want to, because there's so many people, in case of a fire or an emergency, please exit out the rear doors and go a safe distance away from the building, or out the side doors, down a flight of stairs and out the rear of the building, a safe distance. Okay, sorry, Maureen.
Maureen Griffin, 98 Abbey Road. Last night's deliberations, one person mentioned that people who want to pay more or are willing to pay more should just pay more. That's a very simplistic understanding of how education is funded. In order to build programming, you need reliable funding over a long term. Saying that someone should just donate does not give long term. Though it does happen quite frequently if you ask the people that run the district. There are people that donate for specific speakers, to have funds to supplement for kids to go on field trips. All that happens already, but that's not the way to fund our schools. Another thing that was mentioned was keep throwing money at a problem. No, that's not what's happening. Needs have been identified. Supports have been identified that can meet these needs. If you look at tests from the last few years, testing, I hate that, but it's a reality. The scores have been improving with these supports in place. These supports are targeted interventions for recognized needs. And they're also there to decompress the problems. Violence in the classroom, out of control kids. You don't decompress that by not having supports. You need to fund the full ask, not just 4%. Marie, you have a daughter who's a teacher. So you know the classes are out of control. You don't think that they need more support?
I've made this really clear. I believe teachers are handcuffed. I honestly and truly do believe our teachers are handcuffed. Teachers should be allowed to go to school every day and teach. And that has stopped. Our teachers have become social workers, advisors.
Then we need the social workers in the school so that they have more room.
Maureen, I'm not going to argue that point, but I am going to say this. This is a town of 44,000 people, and the budget has to be distributed equally.
No, it has to be distributed according to needs. Our children's
And so the needs
are
of our
great.
seniors don't.
Finish her question.
Our children's needs are great. If we don't address their needs, then you're just building more needs for the police department down the road. You're doing the school to prison pipeline. It needs to be taken care of.
So the needs of our seniors. If we raise taxes to the full budget this year, it would have been a $700 on average per household.
I'm not saying the whole budget. I'm saying the school budget ask. That's not the whole budget
That
would
was
bring
part
about
of the
$700.
budget.
Absolutely.
So we have to look at the budget on a whole.
Yes, I know.
Okay, so we look at the budget on a whole, and we try to cut areas so that we could be equal. So I'm just going to use myself as an example. Okay, my husband and I have lived in the same house for 47 years. Nothing elaborate, nothing fancy. Everybody who knows me knows where I live. My husband is a retired employee of the town after 42 years. He has a pension and a Social Security. I never worked full time. I didn't put my kids in daycare. I stayed home and I worked nights. So when I retired at 65, my Social Security is minimal. We live in our house within our means. Is $700 going to kill me this year? No. Will it kill me again next year? Yeah. You're going to start pricing people out of their homes. So we all have to take that into consideration.
I understand that. My husband's semi-retired. I understand budgets. I have 3 children that are in high school. I'm looking at a whole lot of college coming up. But you know what? When you raise your kids, did you give them all equal? Or did you give them what was needed for them to succeed?
Well, I gave my children equal in the sense that I gave them equal time. We gave both our girls an equal education. They went to college. So
But
yeah, I
that's
gave my
not-
girls equal.
That's not saying equal.
Maureen, your time is up.
Bye.
Okay,
I'll be
thank
back.
you. Lucian.
Lucian LaFave, 54 Kimberly Drive. The question's got a couple parts to it. I just want you to, I know you covered it Monday night, but revisit the possibility of trash privatization. There's still a lot of confusion out there if it's going to become the cost to the taxpayer or if it's still going to be included in our taxes. There's the part with the layoffs, and what do you do with the equipment if they do get a contract that saves the town money today, but a few years down the road, it goes up and we have to go back to the town picking up the trash. And this is for everybody, whoever wants to answer up there. Just to clarify it for the general public, there's some people that probably didn't see it on Monday.
Okay, so the privatization of trash was something that was brought to us by one of the trash members, that they felt there was a serious issue going on within trash. That's what brought it to the attention of the council. So we looked into it. They were absolutely correct. And we are elected to take care of your tax dollars. And when we find something going on that's costing you more money than it should, we're going to look into it. That's what started this. The council agreed to do a study to find out how long does it take to do a route. I don't know. They may know, but we don't know. Okay? Can the town save money by hiring a private company? The town pays the private company to collect your trash. We don't know that answer yet.
So it would stay part of our tax bill.
It is absolutely included in your tax bill. The current trash guys we have do a phenomenal job. So we don't know what the report's going to say. I have documentations and emails where I wanted the draft presented on the floor. Councilman Santinella said no. The town looked into it's in here, John. Here's your emails.
Okay, hold on.
Here's your email. Hold on. I have
Okay,
the
finish,
floor.
then I'll go.
So the town looked into a legal opinion. Who was right, me or him? The town came back and said it must be done in executive session. I lost. That's where it's at right now. We do not have the final report right now. I want the final report along with the rest of the council so we can know, is there any savings there? We don't know.
Okay.
And until we get the report, I can't say which way we should go. And me personally, a decision this big, I would ask the entire council to put it out for referendum. Let you decide. If there's this, and I don't know that it is, but if there's a savings of $500,000, do you want us to do it? It's your money. As far as the equipment goes, and leaf pickup, yard waste pickup, the transfer station, the service is to be exactly the way it is right now. So the transfer station must stay open. Whether they say we staff it or the private company staffs it, I don't know. Yard waste, Who said that? Who said that?
The person that you got the information.
Who said that?
Oh my God.
Doug, please leave. This is a professional meeting. We're trying to have a good, cordial conversation. We're not going to have it. Huh? Doug, your language is unacceptable, and you know that, Doug. You know that. So, as far as the employees go, in the report, we said nobody gets laid off. Now, they may get moved to different positions throughout DPW, and as somebody retires, that position will be eliminated. So yes, the union will be down X number of positions over maybe a year or two through attrition. So nobody loses their job. The residents lose nothing and could possibly get a $500,000 savings that we could use to fund education or the police department. We don't know the outcome. That's exactly where it is right now.
What about the equipment?
The equipment would be, it's in the report. We all know, everybody knows, and every one of them will verify. This town has underfunded the equipment in DPW for years and years and years. So how much do we need to get the fleet up to where it belongs? They're looking into it. These are all the questions we're asking. So do they need $10 million to get the fleet up to where it belongs? We don't know. And that's why we're asking. I'm not in the trash business. So we asked an outside company to look into it. That's our job, is to try to spend your money as wisely as possible.
Has my time expired?
No, because I took your time. So,
Well, I'm sorry. Can I respond?
Because I've got,
Yeah.
hold on, John wants
to
so,
respond.
so let me just say, so when this report was going to be presented, one of the concerns that we had was, what if this was going to impact personnel, and should this be discussed in executive session for that reason? And that was the basis of my concern, right? Because we did not know what was in it. We didn't see any notes. We didn't see any drafts. And that's why we asked for that opinion.
I agree.
Right. No,
but you can honestly say, I wanted to do it on the floor.
right. But we,
Okay. You're right, John.
But,
I'm
okay.
not arguing that.
So there's a hitch. Okay. So now we've seen the report, right? And
We've seen a draft of the report.
we've seen a draft of the report. And frankly, we can vote to let the report be public. The town council can, in a meeting, just vote to let the public see the report. Frankly, I think you paid for it. You might as well see it, right? So, at this point, the room is full of people who want to see the report, and we're supposed to be listening to people. So next town council meeting, let's put it on the agenda, and we'll make the report public so you can see it. Because so we can do that. And so, I think you have a right to know, and there's nothing to prevent us from doing that.
Was the report complete, John?
The report is not complete.
Okay, thank you.
Why would
Okay.
we want a draft report out there in the public that's not complete, that doesn't answer all the questions? What's the rush?
Yeah. So if it said what you wanted it to say,
No.
it'd be out there,
No, listen.
and that's the problem. That's the problem.
That is not true, and you know it.
You know, and I'll also say this, you know, the mayor's right. We've underfunded our refuse collection services. We've underfunded the savings for our roads. We've underfunded savings for our roofs. We've underfunded our schools. We've underfunded. Why? Because we never want to raise taxes here. And I'm sorry, but you know something? I said this in a meeting last year. I said, you know something? If we have to raise taxes, raise taxes. And one counselor said, go run on that. Well, you know what? I ran on that. I said, I'm going to raise, if we have to raise taxes to fund our schools, so be it. You know what the result was? 58% of half of this town voted for me because they're tired of seeing this town turn into a shithole, right? You got to pay for it. It's not free. It's not free, Lucian. And I'll tell you what.
I understand.
I'll tell you what. In the charter, this is what we're going to do in the charter. Now we're going to say if we raise the budget more than 4%, 5%, we're going to go to referendum. Well, we wanted to lower it to 4 because that was the discussion last time. We're going to lower it to 4%. We're going to let the whole town vote on the budget. Well, inflation is on average what? 2.5%, 3%? That gives us 2% to fund everything else. That is an untenable place. We'll be going to referendum every single time on the budget, and it is a bad plan for us to put that into the charter. So that's the mentality, is there should just never be increases. It's never going to cost more, and that's not a way to build a community. It's just not. That's my feeling.
Mr. Mayor, I do have to stand up for his, he swore, we have to keep the swearing down up there too.
So
Okay.
the referendum, what he's referring to, the referendum.
Yep.
Okay? When this council makes a decision that costs you $750 or $1,000 a year, don't you think you should have a say in that?
No. Yes, we elect people for that.
Okay, well, then you can make a decision at the voting poll. But we feel being transparent before you open your tax bill next year and get sticker shock, you should know we want to invest in trash, which that's why we need an increase of 7%, $1,500 a year from you. And you make the decision. That's all it is transparency. You're going to the voting polls anyways, yes or no? Do you want a tax increase of this amount of money for these reasons? The people should have a right to say yes or no. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Okay. You said I still had some time? Okay.
For you, Lucian,
It's
yes.
got to do with the taxes on autos. I know on the state mandated, it's an unfunded mandate. They're going by MSRP on the cars. How does this affect motorcycles, ATVs, trailers, boats, anything that's registered, we pay tax on?
Yeah.
Does anybody know how it affects those
know,
items
to the
that are
whole crowd.
taxable? If it's
So-
got a plate on it, we pay tax on it.
So this, I'm going to ask you to repeat that because John being at the, no, that's okay. So this is a question that is all over the place. And we did address the automobiles, okay? But you brought up a great point, Lucian. What about motorcycles? What about campers? What about trailers, John?
About ATVs.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Carol, would you know?
Why didn't we?
I-
The assessor know?
She's not here. Right, I'm trying to get the answers
don't know the answer.
without saying, we'll get that for you. Right. Okay, we don't have that answer.
Don't have an
so
answer.
If you
Okay.
can look into that at the state or Carol,
Just ask the assessor.
we can. Yep, yep. Okay. All set,
Okay, so
Lucian?
I don't have an answer for that one. I'm done.
All right, thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, hang on. Carol has an answer.
Do we have an answer from that? All motor vehicles, no matter what they are? Okay. That answers my question. So they're all taxed by MSRP with that 10% reduction first year, 10% next? Okay.
Just the way it does for the regular.
Right.
Over 10 years, it drops down.
And Lucian, if I'm correct, the assessor said all trailers are off now,
All trailers are off?
utility trailers.
Okay.
So, okay, next, Aiden.
Aiden Tatro, 42 Green Manor Road. I just want to ask about what I feel like I've seen as hypocrisy between the town council and the Board of Education. Yesterday, during the Board of Education budget review session, you criticized an administrator for a 25% increase in their salary, but I looked in our own town budget, and between last year and this coming year, the town manager received a 22.8% increase in salary. Isn't he retiring, so shouldn't that lower the number?
The current town manager we have is an interim town manager, and he took the pay at a lower rate with no benefits. And the town manager we just hired agreed to middle of the road. Now, the council agreed to go in a range between X and Y. And Mr. Koppler picked right in the center, which we agreed, but he does need full benefits. And that is the reason for the increase in them. The current town manager is not getting a 25% increase. I don't believe anybody in this building is.
And I'd also like to ask about between you and Councilor Santinella, I've seen a lot of back and forth, and I find it crazy how we're criticizing children for not being able to regulate their behavior, and then I watch a town council meeting on TV where I see a shouting match between the two of you.
What I'll say about that is I would say we're passionate for Enfield. I think we both want the same thing. We want the same thing. We just have different ways of getting there. That's what I'll say about that. John?
So I will tell you this. Yes, we can fight like school children. But you know something, we can have very productive, fruitful conversations as well. And I mean, honestly, you know, we can go out and have a beer together and we would probably be just fine, right? We just have very different views on how things should be done. And it comes out in these meetings. I make no apologies. I've heard it from voters knocking on doors. You know, I'm over the top sometimes. I accept that. My family tells me that. It is just, sometimes I need to reel it in. I accept that feedback, okay? But we just don't have the same philosophy. And sometimes what he does just really annoys me, and vice versa. And so I think that that's fair. And I'll, you might have noticed last night after our shouting match, we stepped out in the hallway, and things were tough. We really were not sure where this was going. I think the mayor was concerned that the budget cuts to the school were going too far, and I obviously thought it was going too far. We tried to see if there was something that we could do to get to a better place, but they came around to a place, I'm not happy with it, but I think he was happy, but that was the step out in the hallway kind of conversation. We can have those kinds of conversations. And I'll be honest, I think sometimes when the cameras are on, sometimes it just brings out a different personality. So that's my answer to that.
Well, to clarify, we do go have coffees and we sit down. And when we got in the hallway downstairs yesterday, we shook hands. Again, it's not a personal thing with Councilman Santinella, and I don't think it's personal with me. It's just passion, trying to get our ideas through. We're both self-employed. We deal with people, and I'm in the construction trades, and the biggest thing I had to learn when I got elected was to watch my mouth, stop the swearing, because I'm just a regular blue-collar guy. There's no handbook that says how to be a council member or a mayor. John don't have it, I don't have it. But we're fighting for what we think is the best for all 42,000 people. And you're not going to make everybody happy. So, good question.
Also, I did walk in a couple minutes late, and I did not realize that this was televised, so I do apologize for my comments if there are young children watching at home and to people in the audience. I thought this was a genuine, open discussion, and I didn't realize we were on
You
TV.
got to wait till after 9 p.m.
And that language is unacceptable on TV or in a room. So that's where we disagree on things. But see, he laughs, I laugh, and we move on to the next issue.
And then the last thing I would like to ask is, your side has been using transparency as a buzzword when asking for things from the Board of Ed. Where's the detailed budget like we saw from Macho on the town side?
There's a whole book. Cindy, hold your book up. Or Bob?
I've seen the book, but the amount of detail on the town side versus the Board of Ed side, the Board of Ed went into so much more detail. Like, everything seems accounted for in the Board of Ed, where
So this
town
is
council
Yeah.
seems more vague with all the description.
This is the standard format the town has used since I got elected originally in 2005. The Board of Ed used to do the same exact budget. And then over the years, and they will admit it, their budget got thinner and thinner and thinner. So we demanded a full budget book like this. Chris is no longer here. Steve Macchio is. Steve Macchio is a totally different person, has a totally different way of doing things. And I agree. I think he did a phenomenal job on the budget presentation. So that's why there's a difference. Thank you. Next, Jason Walsh.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank the town council for their time. Mary Ann calmed me down earlier. Oh, sorry, Jason Walsh, 12 Weymouth Drive. Mary Ann calmed me down. She's much calmer than me usually. So I just wanted to come up and say that I'm a little bit concerned about the increase in taxes. I think that one of the things that people are not seeing, it seems really easy to say, okay, well, we need this, we need that, we need this. And a lot of things that people are saying we need is true. We do. We need them. I mean, our schools need work. We need the teachers need to get paid a good salary. I agree with all of that. Thing is that there's a lot of things that I want and need in my life that I can't have because I can't afford it, and I have to do without it, and that stinks. And I have to find ways to get by without it. My concern is that this tax increase that everybody's talking about, it's not just going to affect people who own property. It's not going to just make them have to pay more in taxes. I mean, for me personally, yeah, it's going to stink, but I'll get through it. No big deal. But the thing is, it's going to do other things. It's going to make businesses not want to be here. It's going to make the businesses that are here charge more for whatever services they provide, because they're going to need to make up the money somewhere. We talk a lot about people who live paycheck to paycheck and can't afford more money. Well, and everyone thinks, well, they don't own a house, so they don't have to pay, right? But it's not true. They do, because their rent's going to go up. If a property owner has to pay $1,500 a month more in property, $1,500 a year more in property taxes, their rent's going up $100 more a month. And I don't know how many people. I mean, growing up, when I was growing up and we lived in apartments, $100 more a month in rent was a lot of money for us. So what I don't understand is why there's so much cavalierness about this. And I guess my question is, why are certain elements of our government being so cavalier about this? it should not be that way. We should be thinking about this more, and we should be thinking more about how this is going to affect people. Because it's not just going to impact people who own houses and need to pay their property taxes. It's going to affect everybody that lives in this town. So my thinking is that, you know what, maybe we need to look at some other alternatives. Maybe we need to look at finding ways to do without. Because, I mean, while I would love to have a social worker in every classroom in the school, I went to Enfield High. I was a special ed kid. We didn't have one social worker in the school.
Do you have a question, Jason?
Yes, I'd like to know why we are not explaining that more to people, that this is going to be more than just making people who own property pay a little bit more money every year.
Go ahead.
So, Jason, your thoughts are my thoughts. And honestly, that's why we did our deliberations the way we did it. We sat as a caucus and we went line by line in the budget. And we did the same thing in deliberations. And we tried to go in there and fairly cut across the board. We tried to make decisions that would have the least amount of impact on people. Because again, we don't want to raise taxes for the same reasons you just said. We may have to, and it looks like we will, but the smallest percentage is what we wanted to do. And that's why we did what we did as a caucus. We have met on camera, off camera. This book has more highlights and questions, and this budget has been the toughest budget I've done in 3.5 years as a counselor. We don't take it lightly. At least we don't. I don't want to raise taxes $700. I don't want to raise taxes $200. So I feel what you're saying, and that's what I hear from my constituents. The majority of the people that talk to me say to me, we can't afford it. You're going to price me out of my house. So I appreciate what you said, and I agree with you. And I hope all our deliberations, wide open like we did them, helped you to understand what we did.
Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Ray Peabody, 370 Washington Road, our fair community, our town. First of all, thanks for all the efforts that y'all have put into this budget. Thank you for having the budget deliberations televised. There's no way I could get to all of them, but I really appreciated, the conversations, the questions, and the decisions that were made. That's just me personally. I watched last night's Board of Ed deliberations, and I was behind the full amount that the percentage they're asking for. I happen to think that our school system should be the shining diamond, if you will, the star, the center of our town. I come from a town before I came back to Enfield where I was on the PTA. We had 90 families at a monthly meeting. When I came back here, I was shocked. We had 3. So we got to build that up. Now, from what I understand, and I just want to make sure that I'm right, and here's my question. Last night, the superintendent said that he could bring back 13 teachers in the current 4%, and that would reduce class sizes down to around 22 children. Is that true? 16. Under 25. 16 teachers under 25. Okay, thanks. That's the clarification I wanted. Now, regarding the budget book, some of you guys know I was finance chair on the Board of Ed. And the budget book that Dr. Schuman put together contained goals, objectives, success stories, and what they did well and where they needed to improve. I still don't see that, and I think that's a thing that we should get the superintendent to put in. It's a lot of work, but you got to know the success stories that we have, and I just haven't seen that. I've seen the priorities. I've seen a superhuman effort to try to recover from the losses from last year. The other thing I would like to see done, and I already talked to the Board of Ed about it, the chairman. I would like to see a policy about using temporary funds for permanent staff. Now, when I was on the board, Tom Serrard and myself, two things. We had two guiding principles. One, we didn't want to put programs against programs, and we didn't want to put parents against non-parents. And that's what's happening right now at the Board of Ed meetings, the ones that I've seen. So I think there needs to be a plan to get back to where we were, but that policy that I'm talking about would need to be something along the lines of, if you have a grant money, seed money, if you will, for a program, find out if it works. That's reasonable. That's what we do in the world that I live in every day. If it doesn't work, okay, thank you very much, your contract's ended. And if it works, they come back for more funding, and it brings value to our students, well, we do it. And that's the last comment I want to make is, where is the value add proposition in our budget? I know we say it's for our kids, but it's got to have some teeth behind it. And that's my ask is, for next year, please put some more detail into the Board of Ed budget. I know the town budget, we can get that information. But you guys have done a good job, tough job, and I appreciate, what you all did. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Mary Ann Turner.
Marianne, we're on TV. Don't swear. We have to watch you, of all people here.
I just said to Doug, that's probably why the police are here, they called him.
Well, probably because
Marianne
of me.
Turner, 7 Meadows.
Hold on one second. Go ahead, Bob.
I just wanted to say, Mr. Peabody, I believe the superintendent did pass out, it wasn't in the budget book, but there was a handout that he gave us with achievements and goals and everything that were listed on that. I think we can get that for you if you want to see that.
When he came and presented his budget to us, there was a slides show, so you should be able to see that on TV. Thank you. Sorry, Marianne.
Marianne Turner, 7 Meadow Road. Quick one, I'd like you to bring back your recycling education annual campaign program. We have some videos for some of you who have institutional knowledge where Maya was on camera a few times and she did a bunch of things. I'd like you to start bringing it back and let's talk trash, because we need to go back and teach people about it. And I don't think we've done our job, and I have some ideas on how to do that, but I don't want to waste the time with that. I'll bring it, I can hand it to somebody. I also would like us to consider looking at the fees for building. Building has not had their fees reviewed since 2003. And the reason I checked this with the department head, so I'm not giving you fake info. Planning and zoning fees have not been reviewed since 2003. And zoning board of appeal fees have not been reviewed since 2018. Now, when I spoke to the director, Witten, she told me that it may be something that has to be done in your that thing you're working on.
Charter revision.
Charter revision. I don't know. But I'd also like to throw this secondary part to that. We have groups, we have people in this room. I'll bet you everybody back behind me. You have volunteers who would be willing to take on these projects, and I sit there on economic development and I beg you for projects. This would be the kind of thing, if there needs to be a review, like Witten, whatever her title is.
Town planner.
Town planner, thank you. Witten said to me that they have to do an in-deep dive into it. Then let's let economic development or volunteers come forward, because we'll take direction from them. What she says, you need to look at other towns. So we could pull that information together. We could bring it back to you. I'm not saying we tell you how to do it. We just come and say, you don't need to use staff's time and energy, and this is free service. And I know there's people like me and others back behind me who will be more than willing to raise their hand. So those are two quick things. I have two others that I'd also like us to consider. One of them, comments were made that there's a $200,000 line item in the budget for nonprofits to get about a $20,000 funding, but they have to fill out an application for it. Well, I went and did a little digging around the state, and Stratford actually has a program where they have made the manager's department went into a 501(c). I have it all written out. I won't bore you with the full details, but they started a foundation specifically through the town manager's office, and they raised during the Stratford Mayor's Charity Golf event about that kind of money. And then they take those dollars and they recirculate them back out to these types of groups. I'm not talking about things that the town should do, like putting up the lights at a field, but I am talking about Loaves and Fishes or those groups. And I think this might be an opportunity. And again, Again, I'm the economic development chairman, keep looking for things to do, but this could fall under that guys with the department head, and we could run it for you. Just an idea. Done?
Time.
Put me on the list of things to
So
do then.
hold on, because we'll answer some of your questions. I will take the trash one on. Recycling. Back when we implemented recycling and we gave out the blue barrels, they actually paid the town of Enfield for recyclables. Now we pay them.
Correct.
And it's actually more money
Correct.
than trash.
Correct.
That's why a lot of people aren't really pushing it. And the simple solution for plastics is if you can't recycle it, why do they make it? There's
I'm not
enough
disagreeing.
plastics out there. So planning and zoning, did you approach them because you know the council cannot get involved with planning and zoning matters? Did you approach them and offer economic development to them?
No, this was an idea I dreamed up in the last 3 days. I just checked to see if those fees had been reviewed, and they have not. But I'm more than happy to take it through the town manager's office because you can't go directly to them either. It has to go through him to them. So I'll take it up to them. But I just think it's an opportunity.
Bob?
Yeah, getting back, those are two good items that you did bring up. Okay, first of all, you know, if the building fees haven't been looked at since 2003 and the ZBA since 2018, as you stated, can we
be
bring
money on the
that to
table.
governance? You know, I know that, you know, I might have to go to the boards and everything, but I think this is a good opportunity to be
For
brought
revenue.
for revenue to be brought to us to look at this, and if we need to increase these fees so that we can develop some sort of revenue, I think it'd be a great idea.
So
And the
are
thing-
you talking
You know.
about building permits?
Yes, the permits and the fee.
That has definitely been raised since 2003. Fact. Yes.
I can only tell you what I was told by the office.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to you that I know when I spoke to others, I'm on ZBA, and I know we haven't looked
Oh,
at
you-
our fees.
I don't know about ZBA,
Right.
but
But all I'm
yes.
saying is we should globally look at, I'm using these three as an example, but we may have other fees in other places. We should look at them all. And if it means going out to other towns of equal size, you're not going to go to Ashford. You know, you're going to look at equal size, see what they do. And I'll tell you what I was started nosing around with other towns. There are very creative ideas out there that Enfield should not feel, you know, steal them. What the heck?
Right. Well, Councilman Russo was the one who brought up the overtime jobs. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think one of us up here had ever even thought about it. But that's kind of his expertise. And doing quick math, because of his catch on that, it should be about 130 to 150,000 more into the revenues for the town. And then ZBA, building department, maybe it is time to look at it again.
Inlands and wetlands, right? Any town, right? But keep
Dog
on.
license definitely, I've heard.
Yeah, but not
hurts.
$200 worth of increase.
Well, you have a dog, don't you,
I do,
Marion?
and
So
Chief
we
would
can
not want to have to
triple
pay that.
No, I mean, it's
But,
out there.
but keep in mind, when people say this, it's like, oh my, we're raising all these fees, but you only pay the fee if you actually need it. Yes. Right? So only if you're getting that shed or whatever, or dog. Keep in mind, it's selective. It's still an increase, it's still a fee, but the thing is, if the fees are gonna come back to the town and we are not equal as other towns of our size, we need to at least investigate it and maybe put it on a cycle of every 5 years.
Thank you. Patrick Thibodeau. Sure. I can open this window.
Good?
Thank you for, Patrick Thibodeau, 20 Cora Street. Thank you for holding this. I didn't know, excuse me, quite the format. So I prepared a number of topics, but I'm just going to stick with the trash. I think what really kind of worries me here is that we're going to see a council agenda that's going to have a bunch of resolutions in there that essentially starts the process for bidding out our trash collection. And perhaps at that same time, this report might be released. And when that happens, the votes are already counted, the decisions are already made, and the public has been effectively excluded entirely from the process. And I don't want that to happen here. And that's why I submitted a FOIA for the draft report. FOIA law is quite clear on this. Draft reports are not excluded if they're being part of the decision-making process. And from what I'm hearing from the mayor and some of the others, is that you are well involved in considering this. So the decision-making process is well underway. And the public should have the ability to be able to examine and test the conclusions and some of the premises of the consultant's report, and also test some of your arguments as well. I mean, when I do just some cursory looking at this, in 2021, the town of Summers went out for bid for waste collection. They received just one bid, and they even reached out to a company in Willimantic to try to get them the bid, but they didn't. And that was according to a well-reported Journal Inquirer story. And then last night at the budget workshop, right, you were raising concerns about the cost of what you're paying for school buses, right? And there was some discussion going on about ending private contractor use and considering doing this in-house. I mean, the irony here shouldn't be lost on anyone, right? Even though you may argue that you're going to save a lot of money up front on this, and I have no doubt that there will be some compelling numbers for the initial years. The problem is what happens in the subsequent years, like with the school buses. What happens as time goes on? And that paints a different picture. And nationally, we see a lot of divergence of opinion about how to handle this. So I guess the question would be, if you're really for open government, if you really think the public should, have a chance to really help and examine and be part of the stakeholders, don't you think you should release that damn report? Sorry for the word, but don't you think you should?
Patrick, you got the same legal opinion we did. We're going to leave it there on the report. If we had the final report, it would be released. And I will tell you what, to verify and to back up Mr. Santinella, when the final report's done, they can release both. So you can see the difference in the reports. We're not hiding anything. We just know what we paid for. Is there a more efficient way to do routes that they're doing? We don't know. How long should it take? We don't know. Nobody, not one person up here has said there's going to be $1 in savings. We don't know. And it's our job to look, especially when we get a report from within. If we turned a blind eye, look what happened at Enfield High School. We all read about it, okay? We can't turn a blind eye. We don't know what's going to happen with trash. Now, one of them will lose their job. I guarantee that, okay? As far as one bidder, we're not even there because nobody's even made a commitment. People say we've already made up our mind. On what? We don't have anything to make our mind up on. They do a great job for what they do. Absolutely. Nobody's taken that from them. And like I said, if it does get to that point, I would ask all council members to support me and put it out for referendum so you do have a say. And I'm saying it publicly on TV. I don't know what more I can do. But if I don't look for savings within the town with the rest of this council, we're looking at $750 a year plus every single year. And you elected us to make sure if there's savings, we find it. And that's what we're doing. That's it. So, I mean, why didn't we pick highway? Why didn't we pick buildings and grounds? The library? Because nobody complained. Nobody brought something to us to say, hey, we didn't just pick it out of the blue. And I don't want to get into it because it's employee issues. I don't. But there's more to it. And that's why trash is being looked at. Can we save it? And, I think every person up here thinks they do a great job. We don't want to take yard waste. I just filled 2 tipper barrels today. We're with you.
Right.
So, if we wanted to do something for budget, we wouldn't have cut the truck or we'd cut all the equipment, selling the equipment. I'm not even worried about selling the equipment. The equipment cannot be part of the report, the final report, because I don't want, if this is the direction you guys decide to go, I don't want the company to say, okay, you're giving us your 4 trucks, so we're going to lower the price for the first bid, and then we get hit next round. No, it's totally out of it. And those were the conditions that we all agreed on. Apples to apples, no equipment involved. So we can try to see, are we doing a great job or aren't we? We don't know.
You can ask your legal counsel whether you have discretion in this. I don't think you've asked that question. You should ask it, because they do have discretion. These kinds of reports are released all the time by governments.
The report was incomplete.
The draft reports are complete as far as FOI law is concerned, if it is informing your discussion.
Again, it's legal. We got a legal advice before it even went to executive session. Next is, go ahead, Jeff.
So, Patrick, I don't want anyone here to jump to conclusions. It's a draft report. I haven't taken a dive into it at all because it's draft, it's incomplete. There's more information, there's more questions that need to be answered. I have not formed any opinions. I have not made any decisions. I'm trying to keep an open mind. I will wait until that report is complete, and then I'll start working on it, talk to people, take a look at the report, ask some questions. But listen, I come from a government. I'm a government worker myself. We look for inefficiencies all the time. I come from a world we do audits all the time. How do we save money? How do we improve services? How do we improve policies? We have assessments that come in from out of town. We have auditors that come in. It's constant. And I don't think that's a bad thing. So I understand that people say, hey, we're doing an audit, and everyone kind of gets scared, and oh my goodness, what's going on? There's got to be an issue. Maybe there is no issue. Maybe there is no problem. But I'd like to know. So I'm going to wait for that complete report before I start leaning one way or the other, and I'm going to keep an open mind.
All set? Did you have your hand up? No? Good. Bob?
Yeah. Yeah, just want to address Mr. Thibodeau. Very informative. Some of your articles that you have written have been very informative. I want to thank you for that. In regard to privatization with the trash, I'm with you all the way. I'm sitting up here, even though we say that the report is incomplete, and we got the legal opinion that, you know, we can't give it to the public. As we stated before, should be out to the public. Everybody should be able to take a look at this particular issue to see how well our department is doing. You guys do a fantastic job, and I just want to let you know, I myself personally is against any privatization coming in into town regardless.
I guess that's the difference, because if we can save $1 million, I think you should have a say on what we do. Cindy.
Thank you. I agree with Councilman Crissati in the fact that, you know, we do have this draft, and quite honestly, it should be shared with the public. Transparency is important. I do not believe that we should be going to referendum. Again, our Public Works Department does a phenomenal job with the limited staff that they're working with, and we need to take into consideration the equipment that we have. What's going to happen to that? And again, when you privatize, how do we know? How do the taxpayers know? Where's the guarantee that the private company is not, A, going to merge with other companies, B, going to raise fees? There's no guarantee. Because once it's gone, it's gone. So we need to think long and hard on this issue completely. But I, for one, do not support privatization. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is Dietrich Gonzalez.
I have no idea. I've never done this before. No, the light's not on.
Okay, turn the light on and just name and address, please.
Oh, I guess it is on. Can you hear me? My name's Dietrich Gonzalez. I live at 2 Yale Drive. I'm a member of the District 2 Democratic Committee. I originally came up here because I'm a concerned parent. I'm a concerned parent of a neurodivergent child. She has a 504 plan. A 504 plan that I had to fight Parkman's administration to get. I've heard comments made in the past by this council regarding, we didn't have this when I was growing up. You did. You had autism, you had ADHD. If it got too bad, they chained them to radiators. That's the history in this country, dealing with people that think differently, behave differently. Why can't the kids just behave? When is the last time that any of you read into any recent developments in the human brain and developing children's brains? You guys talk with an authority, but you're public servants. Moving on, I mean, you guys can answer that if you want. Nothing?
We're not on the Board of Education. We fund the Board of Education.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Money.
Right.
Yeah, we're talking about money here.
Right. So we fund the
also
board,
talking
and they
about
make the decision
statements.
on the best way to spend what they got. Last year, they got more money than they've ever gotten from the town of Enfield, and this year, they got a 4%, 4-point-something% increase, which the last time they got that was 2015. So we're trying to maintain a balance. I understand children have needs, but if you can't afford to live here, it does you no good. There's got to be a balance. When your children are older and they have their own children and you can't afford to live in Enfield anymore, it doesn't work. So there's got to be a balance. I support education. We fought last night. You all saw it, okay? But I run on the last resort is raising taxes. Before I cut the board anymore, I agreed to raise the taxes. So I want answers. But the question is, why are we having all these new problems? That's what I'm asking the board.
They're not new.
That's what I'm asking the board. All the discipline problems within our schools never existed. The teacher had a right.
What? Excuse me?
The teacher
Excuse
had
me.
a right
I went to
take a
John F.
student.
Kennedy Middle School and Enfield High School.
And so did I. And when I misbehaved, the teacher had a right to remove me before I harmed staff or another teacher. Our teachers don't have that right anymore. They removed the rest of the class.
Yeah.
So help me at the state.
Do you believe that staff have the right to put their hands on children?
If they're gonna pose
Yes
a
or no?
threat, if
Yes or
they're
no?
gonna pose a
Yes or
threat,
no?
let me finish.
No,
If they're
yes,
gonna
it's a yes or
pose-
no question.
It's not a yes or no.
It is a yes or no question.
If that student is going to hurt another student, absolutely they should put their hands on him.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Moving on from that, thank you guys for removing our trash. Privatization of a social service is never a good idea. I can guarantee you the prices will continue to go up. They will eventually be bought out by a bigger company because that's how our economic system works. These guys, you said they'll lose their jobs to attrition. But and in the same token, you'll say, we heard what happened at Enfield High, but you love these guys. So why even mention it in the same breath?
Well, first of all, I never said anybody would lose their job.
Yes, you
Never
did.
said that.
We could,
No,
we
I
would
didn't.
lose it to attrition. They'd be retired, correct?
As they retire, the
Quickly will they be
position
retired
they're
by
gonna
a
get
private
moved-
company.
They're going to get moved to other positions. You know what I said. You know what I said. They're going to get moved to other positions if we do it. And everybody like you all over Facebook say the prices are going to go up. Did you see the budget book?
I
Do you
know
see
the
how much
prices are going up
and we're
because of
not
who you
private
voted
now.
for, sir.
You will have your time when you put your name in.
Why are you guys buying buildings next door to them?
for development services so we can sell off buildings that are being used as a storage unit.
And who's handling those sales exactly?
The real
because
estate
you claim
company, the real estate company
which
for
one?
the town.
Which one?
What's the name of
Who
the
do they
real estate
employ?
company?
Because you talk about being a blue collar worker, but you've been a real estate agent, a member of multiple real estate.
I'll guarantee you
Right.
that.
See,
Sure.
this is where your personal attacks
all right, that's
are
enough.
too much.
No, that's enough.
I have nothing to do with the town's
No,
real
he is-
estate.
Cindy
Never
hired-
have. The company I work for has never represented this town, ever.
You'd never be able to check.
And you know it's not Ken.
DeFranco Real Estate, and they're out of Long Meadow and Enfield.
So why is it that when I went to the town clerk to look up certain deals that you look up in the past, it's got your name tied to it?
What deal?
The original USA hauling over in 2006. That's why I think this privatization's already a done deal. What? You didn't think that. See, this is the thing. I know that.
No. You didn't say what you said.
I said exactly what I
What
said.
property did you say I was involved with USA?
In 2006.
What property? I have never represented USA Trash Hauling.
No,
Produce
you
a piece.
you
This is what I meant by personal. Produce
isn't
a piece
personal.
of paper that you got from the town clerk, like you,
can't
just
find
said.
anything for real estate
wait,
agents
so
at the
you
town
can't
clerk.
Find it.
But you can find it through Zillow.
Making personal attacks like you
Make
do
personal
all
attacks
over
all the
Facebook.
time,
Is
sir.
this time up?
Yes, it's way.
Your time's up.
Lovely.
Thank you. Okay, you got nothing. Zachary Maynard.
Hi, Zachary Maynard, 7 Patriot Circle. So I understand there's a big issue with the trash problem, and I hope they get to that tonight. But I'm mainly here about the education budget, and I think it's a pressing issue in our community, and I really liked what the guy said before me, especially about Parkman, because it kind of affects my family and I on a daily basis. So I am a senior at Enfield High, and I've experienced firsthand the impact of budget cuts, and I cannot emphasize enough how devastating they've been. We all know class sizes have increased significantly. We've all heard and seen the numbers on paper, but I'm not sure those numbers truly communicate the day-to-day reality with you guys. I am graduating next month and heading to Columbia University for college, and I would not be where I am today without the opportunities Enfield High School gave me. Advanced courses, testing support, clubs like being class president, and most importantly, dedicated teachers who have invested in me. I'm not saying this to clearly brag on TV. I'm saying this to highlight what's at stake. Those resources helped me grow academically and personally, and budget cuts threaten to take those same opportunities away from students coming up behind me. But without proper funding, we're setting them up to fall short of what they could achieve. Another reason I am here today is because I have a younger brother in the school district at Parkman that has faced the pressures and struggles of larger class sizes and less disciplinary action with administration. My parents are looking into alternative schools for my brother next year. They shouldn't have to do that. They pay taxes like everyone in this room today, and my brother deserves a quality education. I don't want my brother to experience this any longer. Please invest in our schools, invest in our students. I don't have a question, but I have something else to say. Mayor Nelson, you did open your speech with "We all want what's better for Enfield," so let's do the right thing and fund our schools. Do better. And I, quite frankly, disagree that disciplinary issues have been around for a while. That's all I have to say. So thank you, and I do hope you increase the budget, because what's going on is very ridiculous in this town.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bobby Kiner. Mrs. Kiner? Sure. It's open.
Okay, I just wanted to clear up a misconception. Students in all the schools, there are some that do have behavioral issues. That's a fact. I do not believe that manhandling or the 1960s, 70s punishment method is appropriate at all. We have advanced from that era, And at this point in time, we do need help for the teachers, absolutely. And that help should be behavioral health assistance, it should be psychologists, it should be academic tutors, it should be paras, it should be any of the above. Definitely not physical touching of a child, number one. But I want to make the point that these children many times do not have control over their behavior. Many of these students have emotional, psychological, physical issues that they're on medication, or the medication needs to be presented. So we need to look beyond, well, you know, this one's disruptive, get them out of here. It goes beyond all that. And that's why when we defund these important pieces to aid the teachers, we're doing a disservice to society, in addition to the teachers, in addition to the students. So let's think about the whole picture before we start jumping physical, get them out of the room. That's not the right way. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It is on. Roberta Kiner for Abbeywood Drive. First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for the time that you've given to the council. Your time and dedication are extremely appreciated. I'm speaking tonight as a mother, grandmother, and retired teacher. I've been blessed with having two of the most consequential jobs, raising 3 children and teaching as a lifetime passion. To know that as a mother and as a teacher that I have made an impact on our children is not to be taken lightly. After I retired from teaching, I had the pleasure of tutoring for 4 years at Prudence Crandall. I was so appreciative of the level of excellence and dedication that I witnessed there every single day. I felt honored to do my part in lending support as needed. The cuts that led to Enfield losing so many outstanding educators last year was heartbreaking. I know many of you, some are acquaintances, some are friends. Many of you are parents, some are grandparents, and I know that you all love your children and your grandchildren. I'm sure that you wish for the best education and preparation for a fulfilling life for all of them. All parents want that. All teachers want that. There's no magic wand that will accomplish this. I've heard some of you say that money is not the answer. I'd like to have you spend time in the schools. Spend a couple days at a time in a school, and you will see that dedicated professionals as teachers and support staff, as Cindy was just saying, makes all the difference. And yes, that takes money. There's no way to get around that. The future of our children rests with us as parents and grandparents and our educators. Just as you wouldn't shortchange your own children and grandchildren, please don't shortchange our students. Allow them to have the best education possible. Please don't let these kids down. Give our children the tools needed to thrive in school and live a successful and fruitful life. And we do live in different times than the 1950s and 60s. You have to understand that. Anybody who's been in the school system, who's spent any time with children, will agree with everything that Cindy has just said. Fund the budget with an amount that you can be proud of. I watched it last night. Our superintendent and the Board of Education have worked so hard to make the case that a 5.57 increase is the least amount that's needed to make a positive impact and to begin to fix the many problems experienced this year. Please don't take their diligent work lightly, nor their expertise lightly. Please fully fund the budget as asked. And I really do hope that you can tell me that you will be talking some more.
That's it.
No question, just telling you that I really hope that there will be some soul searching and some thinking about the future of our school system. Last year was an abomination, and I think we all know that. I don't think any of you would want your children or grandchildren to be in a classroom with 29 kids or 30 or 33, because sometimes they come in like with that for extra different special programs. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Terry Wenzer. Terry Wenzer. Wanzer.
Terry.
Wanzer.
I'm just waiting to make sure.
Yeah,
If the
go
light's
ahead.
on,
Nate.
just your name and address, Terry.
Yes. I was just waiting until all the council people were paying attention. Terry Wanzer, 9 Ridge Road.
Terry, your microphone's not on.
Sorry, I'm used to standing up and speaking here. Yes, you want my name. Terry Wanzer, 9 Ridge Road, of course, in Enfield. First of all, I'd like to quietly say good evening to the mayor, deputy mayor, all the council, women and men. I haven't been in front of the council or school board in many moons, but I do have to speak. I was shocked what happened last year. I'm really glad to have an opportunity to share my thoughts this evening about the town budget, and I appreciate it and thank you for listening. First of all, I've been an Enfield resident for over 6 decades. I went to several schools from 3rd grade to graduation. People like me who are retired and living on a fixed income are often clumped together, which is sad. It is like we don't want to raise taxes. It is often, we're not against any, we're not saying we want tax. We don't want an increase because we're on a fixed income. The question and concern for me is the reason. We raised 3 sons in Enfield, as some of you might know. They each received a quality education that gave them a foundation that enriched their lives, and they were able to pursue careers and families of their own and give back to other people. My husband and I are very proud of the experience they were able to experience here in all the schools of Enfield. After witnessing the devastation last year in the education cuts, I'm now just speaking out. We can argue back and forth about how and why the deep cuts were made to the Board of Education last year. I wonder why the cuts were made, though, but that's last year and we can't debate it now. This year is a new debate, and the quality of education experience is our students, our children are entitled to that. Similar to what I experienced and what my kids experienced. Due to the tremendous loss of teachers and support staff, I am so saddened. We've lost a lot, and I just don't want to see us lose more. An example, the class size in an elementary school, 29 to 30 students, it just isn't acceptable. How can it be acceptable? I don't understand. JFK and the freshmen at Enfield High have no sports, completely gone. And a lot of those kids stay in school because of sports. And they're wonderful teachers, but not everyone. They may do music, they might do that, but you've cut something that some kids just can't be involved with.
Terry, do you have a question? Only 'cause
yes, I'll get to it. Sorry.
Well, your time is up, so.
My time is up. Well, I saw you up here speaking with people that was longer than 2 or 3
but
minutes.
you ask a question. If you ask a question, we can work on the question.
As somebody said before, my question then will be, what do we do about the students that have less access to behavioral, emotional, and mental assistance? How I feel there could fall through the cracks. And I don't know. As Councilman, I heard you say that's the Board of Education problem, but aren't we all here for the students? And I just don't understand it.
So, Terry, I'm going to take this because you know me.
I do.
I mean, your boys and my girls went to school at Prudence Crandall. What's the common denominator that's missing from when you and I were raising our kids? Think back. What's the common denominator that's missing?
We didn't have sister schools, and we had parents that could get involved. Well,
Thank you.
that happened, and whoever thought it was a wonderful idea.
Okay, and Terry, and that's where I'm going with this. Because you and I were active in the school. We were there almost every day, helping our kids, helping everybody's kids. We were fixtures. And it wasn't just you and me. There was a whole group of parents. We were like a family. And we helped other kids. So if there was a kid misbehaving in a class, we could go in and kind of be that gentle, come on, let's go out in the hallway together. And we took care of things like that. But today it's missing. Our teachers don't have that little layer of support, and I've said that from day one.
But okay, I understand. But parents, some parents, I know there are a lot behind me, they might have more than one job, or they might have a special needs child who needs them.
And I'm not disagreeing with that. And I'm not disagreeing with that. But it doesn't mean that that parent had to be in the school. There were plenty of days that I was at the school or you were at the school and you weren't helping just your child. No. You were helping any child that needed help.
So why don't, it's a suggestion, why won't the people on the council, because you do throw it back to the Board of Ed, why don't you adopt a school, go and visit, and
I've offered my help in schools. I have said to both the schools that my granddaughter and my grandson are in, I have said, I've written an email to teachers and said, anything you need, you want me to come in, you need me to do anything, I will be more than happy to give you my time. More than happy. My daughter works in the school system. I get it. We have the grandkids every single morning. We have breakfast. My husband brings them to school. I would be more than happy to go into the school and not just help my grandchild, help any child that needs help. But it's not allowed anymore. And I think that's an element that they don't go in. And I think that's an element that's missing. And I had this conversation with the Board of Ed, and I've had it with the super. And I think if anybody heard me last night, you're right. We need to go back to one school, K through 5.
So who changed it? Like, why is it?
The whole thing got
not
changed.
Allowed?
But
The time.
Yeah.
So Councilman Santinella wants to address.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so, it would be nice if this was 1970 all over again, and Mom.
No, that was 19.
Okay,
no.
No, listen, Marie,
1990 is when the grandparents that are here, we fought to make smaller class sizes.
I'm just trying to share a different perspective. I'm not attacking Marie's comments. Again, it's just a different point of view. And does any of it matter, right? We can't, the complexity of schools today is just different. And
I'm aware
we can
of that.
We can try to blame technology, we can blame parents, we can blame the government
you don't mean
funding.
To say that.
But
you won't blame
listen,
parents.
Here's the thing. As somebody who I know I've spoken to about this, who I know loves this town as much as I do, said to me once, it doesn't matter because we just can't take it out on the kids. It's not their fault. Of anybody in this equation, it's not their fault. So, and they're the ones that are bearing the brunt of all of this. And we can't let the excuse drive the fact that we're not doing our job by giving them the education that we had. And it's not the same education. We had people talking about South Windsor and comparing the South Windsor School District and some of the cost differences. Because at the end of the day, it does come down to what can you afford, right? And I know Zach, who is here, has been doing a student teaching in an elementary school in South Windsor, right? Mm-hmm. And in your elementary school, how many math interventionists are in your school?
3 for 400 kids.
3 for 400 kids. In JFK, we have 1. Like, that's not, like, we just can't, it doesn't matter what the economics are. The need is different. And when I was in school, we didn't have a math interventionist. Like, you just, but we didn't need them, right?
Right.
We just can't let the problems be the excuse. And I do want to say, I just want to mention something else as a tangent to all of these discussions, because we're talking about taxes and expenditures like those are the only 2 pieces of the equation. The one thing that's happened here in Enfield that I think we forget to talk about a lot is we've had a lot of commercial real estate. We have a lot of commercial real estate in this town that over the last 10 years has deteriorated in its market value. And the tax revenue from those big parcels of real estate have declined, right?
And shifted to the residents.
And the burden has shifted to all of us homeowners. We need to also be having real serious conversations about what we are doing to redevelop this space so that we have a bigger tax base to take the burden off of all of us who own homes here. I mean, this is why I think we all agree the mall is such a significant and important project for us, and some of the other development that's going on around town, whether it's apartments or industry. That is new tax revenue that pulls some of this burden that's shifted to all of us off of us. And I think people need to understand as things are progressing in town, we can't keep saying no to development because we need to replenish our stock of real estate that is contributing to our grand list. And so as the conversation's been going on, I've been wanting to say that, and you just happen to be the person I wanted to interject that with. But I do want people to think about that.
I hear what you're saying, but
your time is way up.
I know, but I want to say I'm very proud of the 2 young people that got up and spoke, and I think we got to listen to them. We lost so much last year, and it's like COVID all over again. You don't want to do that to our students. Sorry, I took up too much time.
Thank you. Kelsey McGuire.
Hi, Kelsey McGuire Bruce, 63 Neylands Road. I had a couple of things, but I'm going to segue from that one. Last night, many of you discussed student behaviors. And yes, those challenges are real, but it was hard to hear how quickly those conversations turned to blame. Blame placed on students with behavioral needs, school choice students, or those receiving special education services. That kind of thinking overlooks a deeper issue. Many of our students are carrying trauma, living in poverty, facing mental health struggles, dealing with learning differences. These challenges are not their fault. In fact, many of them are societal issues that we cannot solve alone. Blaming the students or even the parents isn't going to solve anything. Teachers are not denying that behavior is an issue. We see it every day. But we're not looking for someone to blame. We're looking for understanding, collaboration, and real support. In medicine, doctors do an oath, right? A do no harm oath to care for every patient, regardless of their history or their diagnoses. We kind of have a similar responsibility. We are expected to teach every student, no matter their background, what trauma they've experienced or how complex their needs may be. Unlike doctors, though, we don't have a team to refer them to. We stand alone in front of that room, managing academic, emotional, behavioral needs all at once with limited resources and almost no outside support. We are on the front lines of society's greatest challenges, yet we are rarely given the tools we need to succeed. I agree. Throwing money at a problem doesn't work. We can agree on that. But strategic investment does. If we direct funding towards people, mental health staff, smaller class sizes, specialized resources, we can give teachers what they need to help students thrive. Just like in healthcare, education requires a team approach. We can't keep asking schools to do everything, you're right. But we can give them the supports that they have clearly and in detail, as you have all said, our superintendent gave you details. We can give them what they're asking for, give the parents, the students, and the community what they're asking for. Because I heard a number last night, I believe it was Mr. Nelson, said 8 people spoke. I hope you don't really believe that, because I have been keeping track. And since January, the budget has been spoken about 58 times, not including the 2 people who said they don't want their taxes raised but don't touch the school budget. 58 times, and that was 37 different people that came up here and spoke. I agree, it's not enough, right? We want more people involved. Marie, I want more people in the schools. I agree. But this is our reality. We have to start dealing with the problems that we have in front of us. Parents are working, they cannot come in schools. I wish I could go to my kids' schools, but I'm teaching the community's kids too. So I guess I didn't really know the format of this, but I guess is that it?
You can ask your question.
I guess my question to you is, do you believe that you're taking this holistic approach that covers the entire town and listening to everybody? Because the overwhelming, whether you believe that that article was fake news or not, the overwhelming majority of people that have come here and spoken since January have told you, we need 5.57, nothing less.
So, no, stay here. So, because this is the opportunity to have a back and forth.
Okay.
So today, Channel 8 did a story on the people coming to protest the education budget. We all saw it. It was online. But they used a picture from last year when the huge cuts were made.
I agree.
Because this budget hearing, there were very few people.
Yep.
That's why you're going back to January and putting them all together. I agree with you. If we could do more, we would.
Okay.
4%, and you have to agree, is one of the largest increases.
But it's only 1.7 from you guys. 1.4 from the state. You give it back to us if you give it back to us, right? If the state doesn't give it.
You can break it down any way you want. That's the way it's always been done, and you and I both know it.
I do know it, but what I'm saying is, if you want to take that 1.4 that the state's going to give us away from us.
We're not taking it away from you.
Wait, let me finish. If you want to take that out of the budget, because that's what you wanted to talk about all night last night, right? That's what you want to take away. Why are you making us lower it to begin with? Start with the 4.3 million that we're asking for, take the 1.4, and it still brings us to more than what you're telling us you're going to give us now.
You're getting the 1.4. So let's not try to spread false news.
I'm not.
And
Trust me, I don't want that.
sent a letter out. If Councilman Santinella, who made the decision to go to the state and change things, if he gets his way, you'll get a check directly from the state.
Yep.
If he doesn't, the town council will make it up.
I know.
And to be clear, if he gets it from the state, they short the town of Enfield.
I'm aware of how it works.
Okay.
Trust me.
Well,
I've
the
spent a lot of
residents
time
need to
with
be
it.
Aware. So now that's 2.8 million that could swing to the board. So we have no choice but to make sure, so our numbers balance, that we don't fund that until we find out what the state's going to do. We all agreed. You are getting the 1.4. And that is what got your budget to 4.1%.
And the ask was 5.57.
Correct.
That's all I'm saying.
16
we asked for,
positions are being replaced.
But last year was devastating. And our classes cannot handle this. We cannot keep handling this. That's what I'm here to say. I'm going to continue to advocate for 5.57. I appreciate all your time. I appreciate how everything was on TV. I watched everything that I wasn't sitting in the room for. I do appreciate all that. But I am going to continue to tell you that that superintendent sat down and went through everything. And he asked every single principal and building rep and everybody. And that's what we need to try to start rebuilding. 5.57. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey. Angela Foss.
Good evening. Angela Foss, 16 Crescent Beach Drive. I sent you guys a long, lengthy email about 2 weeks ago. Did you receive it? You did? So if you receive an email, I would really love it if you would just say, got it. I did hear from Cindy, who told me she got it. Thank you, Cindy. I heard from the town manager. He said he received it too. My voice is not that great, so, but I wanted to be here. I haven't had a chance to talk to you. Just like Kelsey was saying, I would love you guys to explain this to me. In my email, I had showed you that the whole town budget, the total town budget, is $162 million about. It's a little more than that. And then you are giving $80.3 million to the town, and the Board of Ed, it gets $81.7 million is what it said in the budget. This white part over here is 1/5 of your budget. 1/5. 1/5 of your budget comes from the state. So if I turn this over so that the taxpayers and residents can see, 1/5 of the budget, you get about $33 million through CES funding and the other things, which I had in this email, but I didn't hear anything back from you guys. So that's why I want to make sure you understand. I made a little picture here. The resident taxes are $128.9 million. This extra money that you add into your budget, that $33.4 million, you just added into the budget, which doesn't seem fair to me, so I want you to explain this to me. But you just add the money from the Board of Ed into the budget. So actually, the residents' taxes, 62.3% of their tax money, their tax dollars, is going to the town. And that's why I started by saying our town collects huge amounts of money, but the town side of the budget needs to get itself in check. The Board of Ed, from the taxes residents that you pay, this is the reality, but all the things that you see online are false. 37.63% of your taxes go to the schools. 62.37% go to the town's side of the budget because of the $33.4 million that comes to the town, and they just allot it in this big amount of money. They just put it in there, which is wrong. So I want you to explain this to me because I'm so happy you have this. So explain all this to me because I don't understand why it's done like this. It's deceptive. And even my husband said it's very deceptive.
Those are deceptive. You're correct.
Yeah.
Because you're not counting in the $15 million in-kind contributions the town pays, buildings and grounds, IT, security. It's $15 million, and the Board of Ed agreed that's the number. So if you shift $15 million from the town side to the Board of Ed side, even though it's on the town side, it's being spent on education. Your numbers are backwards, Angela.
You're saying 15 comes from here?
15 million from the resident tax.
Yep.
Moved to that side for the Board of Ed tax, not the 33 million from the state. Your numbers are right there.
Yeah.
But you've got to take 15 million off the town side and put it on the Board of Education side.
Okay, but even if I did, and I was to actually even take it just off the Board of Ed's, this actual thing, it would
It's got nothing to do with the white.
Well, $15 million is half of the $33 million.
The 33 you're saying is ECS funding.
Correct.
It's 29 something.
Plus the extra.
Right, but
yes.
that's from the state. Forget it. Yeah. That is not local tax dollars. It's tax dollars, but not local. So
correct.
We separate that. I agree. The town of Enfield contributes $15 million more on our side to the Board of Education. Everybody knows it. It was all listed out in the budget presentations. The Board of Education verified it, which puts the total cost of education in Enfield close to $100 million, including the state funds. So to do what you're doing accurately, just take $15 million from the town side and
from this
move it to
side.
the Board of Ed side, which makes the Board of Ed's contribution over 50% of the tax,
But if I
local
take-
tax.
Okay, I'm listening, but I'm just saying, if I take 15 million from 80 million, and I move it over here to the 81 million, it's 15 million is still missing, Ken.
No.
Okay. You see what I'm saying?
Take minus 15 million off the town side.
Okay, so we're at 65 million.
And add it to the Board of Ed side.
Okay.
That's almost $100 million, Angela.
Okay. Almost. Yeah.
Those are the real numbers of education in town.
But then what about the 33 million? Why is that not
part of your 80 and 80?
What 80 and 80?
The 80 million you have.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That 81 includes the money from the state.
No.
Right. If you minus the 30 from the state off of the 100 million, it's 80. It's 70.
33 or something million?
If you watch the presentation when Steve Macchio was here
last night. The one.
No, when he was.
I
up
did
here.
watch that one. I did watch that one. Yes.
No, it was just a week or two ago.
Okay, I didn't.
He explains his budget, the presentation that somebody had asked. He explains it very detailed.
Okay.
And at the end of his presentation, I asked him, what about the town's contributions to education? And the town has it broken out also, and it's 15 point something million dollars that we pay on the town side, and the Board of Education doesn't have to pay, where most towns, all of that is in the Board of Education.
What does the $15 million cover, Ken?
It covers IT, it covers security, buildings and grounds, Enfield High School's referendum, JFK's
Custodial.
referendum.
Field coverage.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fields, all of that is paid for from the town. The board does not have to pay for it.
Okay, I did not know that. That's why I did ask you guys, but I didn't get any response from it.
Question. And if you can watch, it's there. They verified it. So that's why the numbers are a little confusing, because most towns don't do it. The schools are responsible for their own buildings. And Enfield, years ago, we took them over because they were choking the schools too.
Okay.
So.
All right. Thank you. Then that answers my question. Thank you, guys.
Angela. Okay. Tricia Wright. I think it's Tricia. Yep.
Tricia Wright, 66 Oakwood Street. I also would like to make a notation. Linda Allegro had signed up to speak. She had to leave. There was a family emergency, so just so that you know. I watched the budget debate last night, and I would like to echo what everybody else has said. I am extremely disappointed that the 5.57 wasn't entertained. It seemed like the 4.1 was what everybody was going after, and I understand the tax implications. But Mrs. Pisner, to your question to the superintendent last night about what resources are available to the teachers, well, a lot of their resources aren't there as people, as support, as the teachers have told you already. So, and I don't want to what happened on Monday. I'm not coming here to have an argument. I'm not coming here to be taking somebody off guard. Well, Monday took me off guard, so I want to say that from the outset. I'm not looking to make anybody feel bad. I just don't understand. Maybe none of you have had the experience of having a special ed child, or a niece or a nephew, or a brother or sister, a neighbor. Again, I'm going to go back to what I said 2 weeks ago. Special ed kids or special needs kids or kids that just need to have a one-on-one that taps them on the shoulder, go back to your work. there's a whole range of what happens. But when those people are not there to help them, they're being underserved. The kids that don't need the extra help are being underserved because they're not getting the attention from the teacher. And what my hope is, and my question is, have you had a chance to look at the revenue of what that nice man who came on Monday and told about the revenue? And if you were able to validate the really great numbers that he found, would it be a consideration that the Board of Ed could get some of that money? That's my question.
So I'm not done with the budget, okay? And I am grasping what you're talking about.
Beautiful.
I have emails, and we all received a copy because I asked that very question this morning because we were trying to adjust, and it did not come back with a favorable response, which was very disappointing. I'm also going to propose, there was a lot of discussions last night about the 1.7 the Board of Education owes the
Yes, that was
town.
very dizzying to follow, but
Okay,
yes.
So I'm going to agree they did the right thing. Take it out. So this current year, the Board of Education wants to prepay us
554.
There you go.
I paid attention.
Okay, 554,000. They want to give us back this year. Last night, I don't want the money back.
Yes, I heard that.
It should have never been a loan. I didn't support it when it happened. I still don't support it.
Okay.
So I am going to address the council that we just turn around and give them back the money. Now, the problem, and this is where...
Give them back the 1.7?
Give them back the 500. The 1.7 doesn't exist because they were only giving us 500.
Okay.
So by us relieving the other $1.2 million, it doesn't help them in any way, shape, or form because the money wasn't there. But the 500 is real money right now. So I want to discuss
But I thought that had to go into his contingency plan, and we all agree he needs more people. And I can't believe the calmness that he held the entire evening, and as well as Charlotte. I hope I can call her by her first name, the board chairperson. And I believe that they stuck to their message. We need the people. It's great to be able to have $554,000, but their hands are being tied on what they can use it for, because to his point, if he uses it on people, then we're back in the muck and mire that we were in 2 years ago, correct? So I understand the taxes. I became unexpectedly permanently unemployed a couple years ago. I've been trying to get some little side hustles and stuff myself. Retirement is not for me. But I understand living within a budget. I shop all 4 grocery stores. Mr. Hendrickson can validate that for you. So I understand playing with money and shopping and playing the game, and I get it. And I appreciated the 2 days of the budgets of last week, and I did watch every single minute and how you all worked on getting people to reduce their budget, and I get it and I appreciate it. But I believe the term for the school board budget for this particular time for next school year should be called restorative. And yes, on paper, you are giving them a 4.1% increase. Technically, it's an increase. But with the numbers that were recited last night of where we were before COVID and where we are now was even more frightening than what was originally stated. I'm not saying we go back to pre-COVID numbers. I agree with the superintendent. That may not be where we need to be. Our population has decreased. But I sincerely, sincerely hope that you remember that he needs the people. He's not looking for 3D printers in every single classroom. He's not looking for fun technology where it would be great to have. He's looking for nuts and bolts, the meat and potatoes of what the classrooms needs, please.
Thank you. Paul Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, Paul Fitzsimmons, 12 Eileen Lane, Enfield. I guess I'll start with a basic question related to the education as well. Last year, I think, was a terrible situation that happened for the education department in town, and it is what it is. It was. I think we can all agree it was a terrible thing to have happen, and it was a terrible impact. I'm curious as to what you learned in this year since then about the impact of those cuts that you made in your conversations with the people in the school that you've reached out to.
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you in general, the board. Because I'm assuming you reached out to the schools and the people involved to say, okay, we did this thing. People will agree or disagree whether it had to be done. That's irrelevant now, but it was done. So I'm assuming we reached out to say, so what was the impact on you? Mm-hmm. Where are we now? And I'm curious to hear your response to your conversations directly with the people involved.
So I personally have had conversations directly with the superintendent of schools and the chairman of the Board of Education. We have met with our board and gone over the budget. We've had meetings and stuff like that, trying to come up with a solution, what their needs are. The board's budget had 2 or 3 tiers that they, 1, 2, and 3. And they were hoping to get 2 tiers. They got 1 tier fully funded. Instead of 11 to 13 positions, they have 16 positions coming back, which puts them almost at pre-COVID numbers. Now, I take it from the superintendent. He's new. He needs time to digest. What is the real numbers? Forget after COVID, forget before COVID. Give him time to digest it. And we didn't cut it even. We gave him the 16 positions, which, like I said, is one of the largest budgets, again, that we have given to the Board of Education. As far as everybody keeps saying, the drastic cuts last year, those positions should have never been hired because they didn't have the funds to pay the people. That's why they got $6 million in the hole.
So the answer to my question was that you haven't had any conversations with the people directly who were involved in the school.
I just said, I talked to the...
You talked to the superintendent and you talked to the chairman of the board. I asked if you talked to the people involved. Have you reached out to teachers? Have you reached out to social workers? Have you reached out to the staff in your town so you could understand more directly the impact of the decision that you made? So that was my question.
And those people go to their bosses and they come to us.
Perhaps they do, perhaps they don't, but that was my question.
All right.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. I'll answer that question. I had a lot of contact.
Good.
A lot of contact with teachers, administrators, probably at every level that there is, from elementary school, preschool, to middle school, to high school. All areas severely impacted, almost catastrophic. So when we look at the number of lost staff over the last couple of years, has been approximately 200 staff members, and we lost 15 teachers during the school year. So it is affecting the education system.
Yes.
Dramatically. And the 4%, really, if it wasn't for the last minute increase that we had, it would have been only 2.5%, maybe 3%. Okay? Yep. And so, yeah.
Okay.
I myself can say yes.
Okay.
I know the dramatic impact that this is having on us.
Okay. Good.
Okay. So.
Oh, sure.
John.
Go ahead, John. The hand was up.
Yeah, so I'm fortunate that I have a niece who teaches in the school system, and she's got a hotline, and I hear weekly what is going on, and it's tough. I have several friends who I went to high school with who are now teachers in the school system, who I reach out to. I reach out to the teachers union. I've been in very close contact with them about what is happening, and I think I have a pretty good handle on the struggles that they are encountering on a daily basis. And so, that's just kind of my network, but I think I have a pretty good sense from that. And, I serve with Bob, who, consummate teacher, still teaches in the school system. Like, we talk about this, we share stories. I think we're making that effort. So.
Good.
So I too have friends in the school system that I talk to.
Good.
And I have grandchildren in the school system. My granddaughter is one of the ones that has 29 in her 3rd grade class. One of the things that we forget, we keep saying how many teachers left last year. 105 teachers were actually hired with COVID dollars, which is why we as a council had to take $3.7 million from our fund balance to bail the Board of Ed out last year.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I understand that last year was devastating. But last year was also devastating to the taxpayers to take $3.7 million out of our fund balance that we could have had in there this year to maybe fund them wholly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a balance. I keep saying it's a balance.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to understand, and I get it. People come up here and they say, I run my household. Tricia, I get it. You go to 4 grocery stores. I do the same thing.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's how I feel I have to run this town, with a balance.
And I think that's the purpose of my question, really, is to talk about when we balance things, we proportion how we balance things, and how important and how devastating versus other problems is how we prioritize our response, right? And I think you've actually made some good decisions. I think the new superintendent is a very good hire. I think he approached you with an exceptional program. I think this is your opportunity to join with him in thinking about education in a different way moving forward, because the reality is education is not going backwards. It's not going to go back to where it was in the 70s. The responses won't work. Our question in Enfield has to be, how is our school system moving forward in leaps and bounds? Because that's what we're going to have to do to stay even. And I hear what you say, if taxes go up, people will leave. No, they won't. Because every town is going through this, and the same taxes that go up here are going up in the town next door, in the town next door to that, in the town next door to that. It's the reality of life, right? So I think we've got to have a better idea of the interconnected pieces that happen and the impact. The schools now, where you have administrators basically running from classroom to classroom to manage emergencies with children, where they don't have social workers, behavioralists, et cetera, so that teachers have any hope of teaching in a class that, by the way, has that many more incidents because there's that many more children, is not sustainable. And it doesn't matter for us to say, well, we don't want to raise the taxes. Sometimes you have to raise the taxes. It's the bottom line. Only other thing I did want to add before I left was privatization. I just want to go there for 1 minute. And this is a caution, and I appreciated what you said. You wanted an apples-to-apples comparison, and I think that makes all the sense in the world, because of what I promise you is those major systems that have tried privatization, almost all have returned. And the infrastructure costs to rebuild have been double what it was to originally do it. And it's because those infrastructures, those contracts, they're going to come in every year. They don't have your conscience or your desire to keep the cost low. They're going to come in with that 5% increase as soon as they're contractually able. And the other thing you'll run into is that you have an ability within your system to manage it. You'll have no ability to manage their system. They'll say, "Butt out of our business." I worked in Massachusetts as a administrator and moved hundreds of millions of dollars in privatization moves. And probably 75% of those are now back in the state system, those services. And they cost phenomenally more to put back in. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, please talk to people that have done privatization before, see what the impact has been, but see what it's been in year 3, year 5, year 7, after those initial contracts have run. Because they will have no problem coming back to you and asking you for a 5% raise, a 7% raise. Right? Their costs are going to be their costs, and they'll have no problem asking for those things. Where you would say, I have to safeguard the resources of my town. So that's.
I agree with you 1,000%, and it should be in the report. 100% I'm on board with you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, what's that?
No, I'm just looking at the time.
Next is Tony Allegro. Oh, all right. Emily Hulovich.
Yeah, come on, Ken. You should know it's Hulovich. Good evening, Emily Hulovich, Cutter Lane. So I'm actually not here to talk about education this evening. I'm here to talk about voter turnout. In our town, it's been consistently low, and we see this as an important area for community growth. It's vital that all of our voices are heard, not just at town meetings, but at the polls as well. Last year, Enfield Community Advocates proudly hosted our first annual Rock the Vote event. We partnered with the nonprofit organization Rock the Vote because their strong values and mission empower young people. We're excited to announce the return of our second annual Rock the Vote event happening on Saturday, August 23rd on the town green. We have a lot of exciting and fun, engaging activities, including basketball activities on the courts. The Hartford Children's Entrepreneur Group is coming, featuring 30 youth vendors, and we're hoping to get students and children from Enfield. Expanded vendor and community groups, a kid zone with bounce houses and other fun activities. Live entertainment, obviously, and bands, a variety of food trucks. So I'm here to ask you, we have sent several emails to both the town council, I know you can't speak to the Board of Ed, also to the registrar of voters, with little to no participation in this event. Is there a reason why you think there is no participation?
Go ahead, John.
Well, I think we should be advocating to get as many people registered to vote and let them participate in the process. I think there is no greater privilege that anybody who lives in this country has than to be able to go and cast a vote. And I don't think there's any reason why we shouldn't support something like that, as long as it is a nonpartisan effort that simply focuses on the task of getting people to come out and vote.
We have reached both sides, and we're hoping to hear from both sides, but we typically do not.
Okay, well, I would support the council advocating for people to come out and register to vote. Regardless of your party affiliation, that's irrelevant.
Okay, Cindy.
Thank you, Emily. I just wanted to add to your statement. I am definitely a supporter of Rock the Vote, but also to inform the residents of Enfield that they can sponsor if they choose to, or make a donation to the group. It is nonpartisan, and I know I attended the first one last year, and everyone was having a great time, especially the kids. So again, people can go out and make a contribution or buy a sponsorship to help offset the cost. Thank you.
All right, do you have a question?
Well, I asked one, and people are answering it.
Okay.
I have more.
So I mean, you gave us a commercial for Rock the Vote.
I'm trying to promote it since people
and
aren't.
you're trying to promote people to sign up to vote.
Which would affect you as well, sitting up there, yeah.
I'm a registered voter. I'm
too.
signed up to vote.
Good, but not everybody in this town is.
Right, so
I have more
my
questions
question
about that.
is, people who are signed up to vote, why would they attend this event? That's the question I think you need to get across, that I think is falling short, is because registered voters are saying, well, if this is to promote us to register to vote, we're already registered.
My question was, why aren't you promoting it to get the people who aren't registered to come out?
We don't promote any nonprofits. We're not using our position as council members to promote one group or another. That's not what we're up here for.
Okay.
Outside of this council chambers, we can do whatever we want, but sitting up here, it wouldn't be right.
Why do you think voter turnout is so low in our town?
That's a great question, Emily. It is a very good question. I mean, go ahead, John.
So I don't know if this is the answer, right? But you've heard me say this before. I think people think that the President of the United States impacts their life more on a daily basis than anybody else. And I have the opposite point of view, that the closer politicians are to your front door, the more they impact your everyday life. And so the fact that people take the time to come out and vote for the president or governor, I hope he's not listening, but that's great,
Yeah.
right? But the things that you're talking about here tonight, schools, trash, fire services, we're going to be talking about roads. The things that go on in here are literally things that when you open your front door are right in your face. And why people don't participate in that, I have no clue.
And they
But I
happen
think
before
it's-
budget season.
But I think, I mean, this is just philosophy, right? And it's nobody's fault. I just think the public doesn't see these elections as important and impactful to their life. And things like this, I think, change that perspective. So, I think this is a great format tonight. And I am hopeful that a lot of people are not watching the part where I swore, but watching this meeting and understanding more that you can't not pay attention to what's happening locally. I don't know if that answers your question. I don't know that there is an answer,
I don't
but
know
I think
that
it's
there is
maybe
either.
the way people think about things.
He's right. The local election affects everybody absolutely 100% the most. I don't know. I don't understand it. The presidential, they were packed. But, when we have just a municipal election, I mean, I don't have the answer, Emily. I don't know. They like what's going on. I don't believe that either, because we have all these people, who want one thing, and at the polls, they do something else. So I don't have the answer. It's a great question. I'm telling you, my take on Rock the Vote was to encourage people to register to vote. So, like I said,
But you can still come and have fun. Bring your grandkids,
But see,
It's a community event.
But this is what you need to promote. It's
Well,
not
that's why I'm here,
only-
so thank you for letting me speak my commercial
Yes.
piece.
Yes, so that's what I think needs to get out to the public, like the Jack-O-Lantern Festival. This is, let's make it something like that. But again, we can't promote things like that up here. Outside, we can do whatever. Because if we don't support a group for whatever reason, now we put ourselves and the town in a very bad position, and we just don't want to be. But I'm nothing
We would
against.
like to register people for both sides, so thank you.
Right. Nothing against the program. I have not gone. It's a new program, and I wish you guys the best of luck.
Thanks. We hope we see you August 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yep. So I sprung this meeting on the council. I appreciate the members who could make it. It was last minute. That's on me. But with everything going on, I felt it was important. I will tell you this. This is the largest turnout I have ever been involved with a community conversation. And you know what this tells me? We need to do more of them, because I don't know why they stopped, but they did. And I took a chance that you guys wanted to come out and talk, and I was right. And I appreciate every one of my fellow council members for coming on such short notice. Councilman Nasuda, he is out of town. He's going to be Zooming into the meetings. He couldn't make it, and it was last minute. So,
How many names are left on the list?
on what list?
To speak.
No, it's done. 9 o'clock.
Yes, how many names are left?
Oh. 6. So, I thank everybody for coming out. I'll let the council members make a final statement. John?
Sure. Yep. So I just also want to say thank you for coming out, and I want to say to you, being able to do this is a real privilege. We have sleepless nights. We have all sorts of disagreements, but you've given me a privilege to serve in this seat, and some of you I represent in Hartford, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and I thank you very much for that, and I'm grateful that you all came out tonight. I hope you thought this was useful.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, to everybody that came out tonight, I want to thank. I think tonight has been a wonderful opportunity for people to get up and speak their voices. And once again, we sit up here, and there's a difference. We hear you listening. We listen to you. And everybody made their points, and pretty respectful on top of it. Being in the position as former mayor and now as a councilor, you know, we've been involved with community conversations before. Once again, this is excellent participation from everybody. Everybody has a vested interest, to the locals, to the residents, to education, privatization, you name it. There was a lot of topics that weren't covered, and hopefully we can cover them within the next quarter. I would be all open and for, you know, whether they're quarterly or whatever, but I just think that they're good getting everybody out here. It's in a different format. You know, we're able to talk back and forth, but thank you to everybody that came out here tonight. Appreciate it. The what?
Didn't have time to speak. We can't go back and forth for conversation.
There were 6 names left, 3 of which were from our local.
And I'm left too. So when do I get a chance to have a back and forth conversation?
At the next quarterly conversation meeting, because we'll hold another one. This isn't even a normal, this is something I did. Everybody has spoke about the budget. Everybody has spoke about trash. I will make a commitment right now.
I had statistics that I wanted to share, and I would like your response to.
Okay, well, we agreed as a council 9 o'clock, and I've got to keep my word, so.
Well, you know, if there could be another meeting, maybe in a week or two, you know, if this was sprung on, maybe we could do another one.
The budget gets passed on the 12th. That's why we squeezed it in.
That's why you ambushed the taxpayers?
All right, so Cindy, you have anything?
I also would like to thank everyone for coming out, but I do want to make one comment, and I've already spoken with our mayor. Years ago, because I am the longest sitting council person up here, and Ken, you may remember this, we did have quarterly community conversations. They were held at the 4 districts, at the schools in the 4 districts. And the turnout for each of the conversations was fair. It was good. It was healthy. I am happy we had an opportunity to hear people tonight. Budget must be set Monday, no later than Monday. And I think that, again, being a good idea to have this, it should have been done prior to budget negotiations, but that didn't happen. Okay, so
Keep going, Cindy.
moving forward, I encourage our mayor to perhaps look at the calendar and schedule the next 3, and also provide the rules. 9 o'clock, we're ending. We're starting at 7, so that people.
Cindy, you wanted to postpone this till after the budget.
That's right.
Okay?
That's
so-
correct. And I'll tell you why. I want to tell everybody why. The reason I wanted to postpone it, we have worked as a council and a board and town staff to crunch numbers, to try and put together a budget. We have until Monday. Monday, what are we going to do now? Go back Sunday night? It's Mother's Day. Nobody's getting together Sunday night.
Exactly why this.
But the
We have
fact.
till Wednesday.
No, Mondays.
Monday?
It's Monday.
Okay.
The fact of the matter, the point I'm trying to make, is that we, in hindsight, should have been doing these. And again, I thank you, Ken, for at least pulling one off. That's a
I
good
didn't
thing.
stop them, Cindy.
No, I'm not saying you did. I'm saying that the light bulb went off and you said, okay, let's have one. And you're acknowledging that we do need 3 more for, the year. So I thank you for that. And I would also encourage you, look at the calendar, find out what the next one should be. Put out there what times they're going to be and what the rules are, for people. And it's a healthy thing, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if
Bob?
the budget's passed on
Bob?
Monday, that means
Excuse me, Bob.
I just want to say I appreciate everyone coming out, and the back and forth is a good thing. With so many people here, it was hard to really jump in and have that conversation. I'm sure the other ones were a smaller crowd than this, so the 2 hours and all this crowd, I wanted you guys to speak more than me, so that's why I was kind of, I do appreciate it.
Obviously, we need to have more of these, and we will. And if anybody did not get a chance to speak, we have emails and we have phones. Give us a call.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.